Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. We're actually back to Wednesday. Hope you guys didn't know or were wondering if I was going to show up tonight, but I am here. I hope you guys are doing well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Coach Kayla. I'm an online plant-based dietitian, nutrition, and run coach. And today we're going to be talking all about supplements. So before we get started, make sure to click the link above me and allow Streamer to show your name if that is okay with you. So I can tell if you are on or not, who it is, and just comment below hi if you are live with us, or if you are watching this on replay, just a post below, comment below replay. So let's just get right into it today. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Actually, before we get started, hope you guys enjoyed the interview that I did with Brad yesterday. It was amazing. So if you missed it, definitely check it out. It will also be on the podcast on Friday. So definitely check it out. It was a really great conversation and I really enjoyed it. So definitely check that out. So, okay. So let's get into it. So supplements. Should I supplement as a plant-based endurance athlete? This is probably one of the questions I get asked a lot. And when it comes to supplements, it's, well, what do I take? What should I take? What brand should I take? How much should I take? Right? There's all these questions around supplements. The biggest thing that I want you guys to understand that we're going to start off here with, if anything, hopefully you get this from this training tonight, is supplements is a huge industry. It is a multi-million, I think $billion industry, and they make so much money off of you. And most cases, you don't need as many supplements as you think you do. And it's just a lot of money that you are paying that you really don't need to be, because there's no benefit of it. So basically, you are just wasting your money on things that you really don't need. So that I wanted to start off with. Actually, there's something on my screen. Okay. It's bothering me. It looks like there's something on my chin, but it's actually on the screen. So that is the biggest thing I want you guys to get out of this video, is to just really understand that. And it's very difficult, I think, because of that, to really understand and get a good grasp of what you actually need to be doing. So first of all, as well, in addition to that, you do have different needs as somebody that is plant-based and also an athlete. So those are who I'm speaking to. So if you're not as much of an endurance athlete, or you don't really consider yourself maybe a runner or athlete, this could be a little bit different, or you may not have certain what should I say, nutrient deficiency kind of thing. So there are very common things that are known in those that are athletes that were deficient in, and then on top of it is plant-based. So specifically for those that consider themselves plant-based athletes, or really focused on performance, this is really who I'm really talking to. So when it comes to being a plant-based athlete, an endurance athlete, there are certain nutrients that we do want to make sure we are getting. So those are the ones that I wanted to talk about tonight, and I'm just going to highlight them real quick here. Vitamin D and calcium. I kind of lump those together because vitamin D and calcium kind of go together. They both are involved in bone formation and strengthening your bones and bone health. Vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 is important for our cognition, our memory. Iron. Iron takes place. Probably a lot of you know what iron is. Hear about iron. It's one of the most common things that we test when we get our routine blood check. If you go get blood, right, they have to test your iron. So iron transfers oxygen throughout your blood. So of course, it's very important for athletes to be getting enough iron. Zinc. Zinc is important for protein synthesis, DNA synthesis, and also our immune system. So we need to make sure we're getting enough zinc as well. Also, iodine and selenium are also minerals that we need to make sure we are getting. Iodine and selenium those can be deficient in those with plant-based diets because of deficient soil. So because our soil now isn't as nutrient rich, then because we're eating these fruits and vegetables, we think we're getting all these nutrients in our bodies, right, from the vegetables. But unfortunately, because the soil that it is grown in, it may not actually be nutrient dense as we think it is, because our soil is deficient. So hopefully that makes sense. Did I explain what iodine and selenium do? So iodine, probably most people know, related to our thyroid hormone, right? So that's what iodine is important for. Selenium fights against oxidation. So that's very important that we get enough selenium. And then lastly that I want to highlight here is magnesium. Magnesium is an electrolyte, and is important for oxygen delivery. So just like iron, magnesium also very important. So those are the basic micronutrients that are important that we need to make sure we're eating. The biggest thing, and I'll go through some food sources of each of these, but the biggest thing is if you are eating enough, if you're eating the amount that you should be eating, if you're eating all different amounts of or eating something from each of the food groups or the combinations, then you should be meeting your micronutrient needs. There's not really any need to really be concerned about deficiencies unless you get blood work done or you see something, or you have either just signs and symptoms, you're just not feeling well, can't really figure it out, and that sort of thing. So that's when you might want to focus on trying to get more of these foods. But we can get all of these micronutrients in our foods. We just have to be eating enough, and we have to be getting enough, eating enough, but also eating a variety of plant-based foods, basically. So vitamin D, the biggest source is sunlight. So sunlight, and we can also get some vitamin D if you're plant-based and don't eat any animal products. We can also get some from mushrooms. Now, I will say with mushrooms, it's kind of hard to know if you buy mushrooms in the grocery store. How do we really know if they have vitamin D? Because they're actually getting the vitamin D actually comes from UV light and comes from sunlight. So the best source, of course, is sunlight, but if you live in the northern hemisphere, like I am up in New York right now, we haven't gotten a lot of sun. When the sun is out, I'm like, oh my gosh, the sun's out. But most of my runs that I do, if they're early in the morning, they're in the dark, or if I do go out on the weekends, sometimes they're now the sun's not often out. So I'm not often outside and probably getting enough sun. So especially during this time of year, I do take a vitamin D supplement because I know I'm not getting enough. So there's certain cases that we know we may not be getting enough if we're not eating it through our food. So we may need to supplement. So that's when we know we should be supplementing as well. Calcium, a really good source of calcium if you're not drinking dairy anymore, is greens. Also, our plant-based milk, some of them can have some calcium in it. So there are ways that we can get enough calcium. Doctors sometimes do suggest to take a calcium pill, especially if you're female and you're older, just because they want you to prevent osteoporosis. What I have learned, what I've been taught, is our bones kind of stop the strength of our bones. We need to really be eating more of that calcium actually in the beginning of our life. So before we're 18 years old, and then after that, our bone health kind of goes down, and it's a little bit harder to get enough. So sometimes some calcium supplements may be beneficial. Vitamin B12. Vitamin B12. Can anyone tell me where we can find vitamin B12? And I do apologize. I'm using my my notes right here. Anyone? B12. Where we find B12. So B12 the source of B12 is really animal products. So when we don't eat animal products, how do we get our vitamin B12 through our foods? Well, if you guys know of this magical substance, it's this flaky yellow substance. It's called nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is one of the best sources of vitamin B12. So if you are concerned about not getting enough vitamin B12 and you do completely eliminate all animal products, I would suggest to try sprinkling nutritional yeast on your food. And I know some people that honestly, that's all they do and they don't take a supplement. But this is also another supplement that I personally take as well, is vitamin B12. Because I don't always use my nutritional yeast every single day, or I don't feel like I use enough of it to actually get my B12. So vitamin D and B12 are the biggest two that I do supplement with, or I believe you should supplement with as well, if you are completely whole food plant-based, and eliminate all products, animal products. And that's no matter who you are, whether you are an athlete or not. If you're plant-based, fully plant-based, you should at least take vitamin D if you don't get enough sun, and B12 if you're not using nutritional yeast on everything. The next one I want to go over is iron. So I went over what iron is. You can get iron from beans, spinach, or leafy greens. Really important to also take vitamin C, reduce your tea consumption. That can inhibit the green tea, specifically green tea. I think all types of teas do as well, but specifically green tea has higher tannins, and tannins actually decrease the absorption of iron. So be careful of that, of not drinking too much tea if you're really trying to absorb all the iron from your foods. And the iron that we get from plant-based foods there's two types of iron. There's iron that comes from meat, that is called heme iron, and then there's another type of iron that's called non-heme iron that comes from our plant-based sources. So we want to make sure when we're eating these non-heme iron sources, our plant-based sources, that we absorb as much iron as we possibly can. So that's why we want to make sure to pair it with vitamin C, decrease tea consumption. And my other tip that I always talk about as well is use a cast iron pan. That also helps as well if you're deficient in iron. Zinc. Zinc is also important. I talked about what that does, where we can find that black-eyed peas, sunflower seeds. These all have zinc, iodine, selenium. We can get from, where can we get those things from? Iodine and selenium. Gosh, those I'm actually not sure about, iodine and selenium. So I will come back to that one. And magnesium, we can get magnesium from green leafy vegetables, beans, nuts. All of those plant-based foods also have magnesium. So as I kind of laid out here, I showed pretty much almost a food source of each of these. So we can get a lot of these nutrients from our plant-based foods, which is really great. We just need to, as I said, make sure we're eating these foods and incorporating them with what we're eating, and we need to make sure we're eating enough. So that is the biggest thing when it comes to this. And you could take calcium. You might want to take iron if you're deficient in iron, but you don't necessarily have to. But vitamin D and B12 are the biggest ones. Most likely you have to take. Another thing I wanted to mention here as well is scientific evidence is insufficient to recommend vitamin or mineral supplementation as a way to prevent cancer or heart disease. So that's a very important point to make as well about supplements. People sometimes think, oh, I can just take a supplement, get all my nutrients, and I don't have to eat healthy. It doesn't really work like that. Food is the best source to get our vitamins and minerals. So we really want to make sure we're trying our best to get it from food. And where we live, if we are in the United States, we do have an abundance of food. So we do have food available. That's not a problem. As I said, the biggest problem really is just our nutrient density of our soil. And also, there's no evidence for taking supplements as well for increasing our strength and performance. There's no scientific evidence, at least that I know of, unless new evidence has popped up recently. There is no evidence that really shows this. So just because we take a certain supplement doesn't mean it's going to increase our performance. So another thing is, really a lot of these, as I said, besides vitamin B, B12, most of these we don't necessarily need to supplement unless we are really deficient. And how we can do that is through our routine blood work. let's see. I have a question coming. I just want to see if, yes, I am going to get to that. Okay. I am going to get to that. I was trying to figure out actually I was going to get to that or if I wanted to make my next point here. Oh, yes. Let me make this other point real quick, and then I'm going to come back to talking about multi-supplements and taking them individually. So I also wanted to make a point for when I was talking about when you should know if you should supplement or not. Really, if you are dieting, if you are, have like an eating disorder and eat less than 1,200 calories, but I know if you guys are part of this group, none of you are eating that low of calories. So you should not need a multi-supplement for that reason. But that's, definitely one case why you may need to take a multivitamin. And then also if you have food allergies, so you literally exclude foods in your diet because you can't eat them because you are allergic or intolerant. That would be also another reason why to take a multivitamin. And also if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you have increased needs and it may be very hard for you to meet your needs through food. So you would want to supplement. So those are the three main reasons why we should supplement. We should not be supplementing because we think, oh, this nutrient, I need more of this because it's going to help me increase my performance. No. That's not how it works. That's just another point that I wanted to bring up. I got a question here also as well about one multi-supplement is there one multi-supplement that will take care of all these micronutrients? So first I'm going to answer that question, but I kind of want to two-part this. So I also want to ask, do you guys think it's best to take a multi-supplement or individual supplements? So this might surprise you. It's actually better to take it in a multi-supplement. But you also want to make sure you're getting what is beneficial to you, right? You don't want to be paying for something that you don't need to be getting all of these things. So really, it's a really good idea to also look at your diet and really understand what nutrients you could be lacking based on the foods that you're eating, or maybe there's foods you don't like as much. Like, even though, for example, my mom's not allergic to broccoli, she just doesn't like broccoli that much. So, she uses like a collagen supplement. She's like, well, the best source is broccoli, but I just don't eat broccoli every day. So I supplement it, which is fine. Certainly, if you don't like a food, don't make yourself eat it. But as I said, food is best. So taking a multivitamin is actually best to take them together versus separately. And if there's one mini supplement that will actually take care of all these, and I'm not affiliated with this at all or sponsoring them at all, just to throw that out there. But one of them that you guys may have heard of, maybe you didn't, that I actually have tried. I trust it. I think it's a really great brand and it really has the things that we're missing. Like everything that I just mentioned to you, it has all of these things in them. And it's called Complement. If anybody has heard of the No Meat Athlete, Matt Frazier is the owner of No Meat Athlete, and I believe he's a co-founder actually of Complement. But that's a great way. It's one multivitamin. I have used it before. I actually need to renew my supplements, but that's a really good one. Another brand that I also really like, and this I'll talk a little bit too about knowing what supplements or brands to go with. Another thing or another brand that I really trust that I really like as well is My Kind Organics, and you can get that right from Amazon. It's just a really good product. It has all the certifications we want to look for, so we want to make sure there's USDAs on it. We want to make sure that it has some sort of certifications on there because not all supplements are regulated by the FDA. So we want to make sure that they have these certain regulations. And so there's certain brands that I just know, okay, this is a good brand kind of thing. So there's that. And also with supplements, this actually goes more towards actually your sport supplements, but you also, specifically with any sport supplement that you want to take, you want to look for the symbol NSF. So that is something you always want to look for in those. Bretta also mentioned, I think it also depends on quality of the multivitamin. Absolutely, yes. There can be, and that's why I talk about, making sure it has some certifications or qualifications on there, and it's not, the cheapest Walmart multivitamin you can get on the shelf, and not knowing anything about it, because they could put complete junk in it, and you may be paying for something that's not even going to be at all beneficial for you. So yes, making sure you know that it's a good brand, or just looking and making sure it has certain verifications, and that as well is important. And as I said, for the sport supplements, NSF is what you want to look for. And also with sport supplements, which I didn't talk about too much in this video, and I don't want to talk about that too much. Maybe that would be probably a separate training, because that's a whole other thing, sports supplements. But I did want to mention as well, they are important to use in certain cases when we are training really hard, when we're training long, high intensity. There are times when we should take supplements, and I know sometimes that can feel a little against this whole food plant-based lifestyle diet we're kind of on. But in certain cases, those are important. What you don't want to do is get into the trap of, oh, I'm injured, I'm not moving as more, but I'm still eating all these protein bars and things like that, right? That's not what we want to do. We want to use them when they're needed, because they are a fast, easy thing to do. But of course, if you are moving more towards that whole food plant-based, I can definitely give you my guide on, real whole food sources and food pouches and things we can actually make ourselves from real food, because that can certainly work as well. It's just a little bit easier, right, to take those sport supplements, and I do think they're beneficial in certain cases and certain times. So I just wanted to mention that as well. I think that's everything I wanted to go through. I know that's a lot of information, and thank you guys for those questions. If you guys do have any other questions about supplements, don't hesitate to reach out. I will also get back to you guys on iodine and selenium, because I cannot think of any foods. So if you guys think of any foods that those have sources in, let me know. But I know this is a lot. So yes, if you guys do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And let me know if you guys have questions. And also, I would love to hear you guys' takeaways from this training. If you guys have any takeaways or any aha moments or anything like that you didn't know about before, definitely post them below. I would love to hear them. I love for other people to just see the takeaways, that you got from this. So definitely let us know. Also, if you find a supplement that you really love, that you think is a really good one, feel free to share that as well. Share that with everybody. That's what this community and this group is about, is sharing information with each other, not keeping it to ourselves if we find something that's really good, or asking other people for our advice, asking me or asking the group, what do you think of this supplement? Do you guys use this? That sort of thing. So you can do that as well. And I think that's it. So other than that, make sure you guys subscribe, follow Plant-Based Performance Coaching. We are on Facebook, YouTube, podcast. I am on TikTok. We are on TikTok as well. You can find us there. So all those places we are. Definitely check us out, follow, subscribe, all of those things. Make sure you're on the email list as well, so you get all my notifications, all the tips, when a new podcast episode is going to come out, and all of that stuff. So until next time, keep running and eating plants. Bye.